All right, everyone, welcome. We've got such a beautiful and powerful story to dive into today. It's based on a work called How I Taught My Grandmother to Read, and it's really this incredible tale about determination, love, and the bond between two generations.
So, let me ask you something. Can a simple weekly magazine actually change a person's life? Like, really change it? It sounds a little dramatic, right? Well, the story we're getting into today pretty much hinges on that very idea. Let's find out.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in a small village in North Karnataka, and at the very heart of our story, you've got two people, a young girl, just 12 years old, and her beloved grandmother. And they had this really special weekly ritual that they shared.
You gotta picture this village. It's pretty remote, so getting things like the newspaper was a bit of a challenge. The transport system just wasn't great. So the morning paper? Yeah, that showed up in the afternoon. And their favorite weekly magazine was always a day late. This meant the whole family would be on the edge of their seats, just waiting for that bus to finally pull up with the mail. It was a big deal.
So what was in this magazine that had everyone so excited? Well, it featured a serialized novel. You know, one of those stories that comes out in parts, week by week. This one was called Kashi Yatra, and it was written by a super popular Kannada author named Triveni, whose stories were known for being simple but incredibly powerful. And this is where we get to the real heart of the matter, the central dilemma. On one hand, you have the grandmother's absolute passion for this story. Her name was Krishtaka, and she was completely hooked. I mean, she'd listen so intensely that she could repeat entire episodes by heart. She really connected with the main character. But then, there's the other side of the coin. Her big obstacle? She couldn't read. She'd never been to school, so she was totally dependent on her granddaughter to bring the story to life.
So every week, like clockwork, the granddaughter would read the latest installment out loud. It was their thing, a really special ritual. But that cozy, comfortable routine, well, it was about to get completely turned upside down.
So what happens? Our narrator gets invited to a wedding in a neighboring village. It was only supposed to be for a couple of days, but you know how these things go. It turned into a whole week. For a 12-year-old, this was amazing. Just a week of fun, great food, and a bit of freedom. But when she finally got back home, she walked into something she never expected to see. Her grandmother was crying, and the narrator had never seen her grandmother cry before, not even when things got really, really tough. So, naturally, she was immediately worried. Something was seriously wrong.
And then her grandmother explained. While she was gone, the magazine came. And for the very first time, there was nobody there to read it to her. Imagine that. She could look at the pictures, she could run her hands over the words on the page, but she had no idea what they said. That feeling, that complete and utter helplessness, that's why she was crying.
But sometimes our most painful moments are the ones that spark the biggest changes. This moment of vulnerability didn't end in sadness. Nope, it lit a fire. It sparked an incredible, life-changing decision.
So that same night, the grandmother, who the narrator affectionately calls Ava, which is a term of respect and love meaning mother, she sat her granddaughter down and decided it was time to share her own story.
And Ava opened up about her past. She lost her own mother when she was just a girl, and back in those days, sending a girl to school, well, it just wasn't considered essential. So she never went. She got married young, had kids, and dedicated her life to taking care of her family. And don't get me wrong, she loved her life, but deep down she always carried this regret about not being able to read.
And then she made this incredible promise. She turned to her 12-year-old granddaughter and asked her to be her teacher. She was done feeling helpless. She was going to learn the Kannada alphabet, she was going to become independent, and to make sure she stuck with it, she set a very specific deadline.
So what happened next was this amazing role reversal. The 12-year-old girl was suddenly the teacher, and her grandmother, she became the most amazing, dedicated student you could ever imagine. I mean, her commitment was just, wow. She was all in. She worked so hard, doing every single bit of homework her granddaughter gave her. Reading, repeating words, reciting passages, writing out the letters. She poured every ounce of her energy into this. Seriously, she was the perfect student, just driven by this incredible will to succeed. And you have to understand, this wasn't just about reading a magazine anymore. Oh no. This was about reclaiming her independence, the very thing she realized so painfully that she had lost. And then the big day arrived. The deadline that Ava had set for herself, the day of the Saraswati Puja festival, was finally here. This was it, the big test, the culmination of all that hard work.
So on the day of the festival, Ava calls her granddaughter over. She picks up a copy of Kashi Yatra, and just like that, reads the title out loud, effortlessly. Her granddaughter knew right then and there she'd passed, with flying colors. But that wasn't even the best part. The real surprise was yet to come.
First, Ava gives her granddaughter a gift, some material for a new frock. And then she does something completely unexpected, something that just shocks the little girl. The grandmother bends down and touches her 12-year-old granddaughter's feet. Now, this is a huge sign of respect. It's something you do for your elders or that a student does for their teacher.
And her explanation is just so powerful. She says, "I am touching the feet of my teacher, not my granddaughter." She explains that her granddaughter taught her with so much love and patience that now she feels confident enough to read any novel. In that single moment, the roles were crystal clear. The 12-year-old looked at her student, her own grandmother, and saw this confident, independent person standing before her.
So, what does this all mean, really? When you step back and look at it, this story is about way more than just learning to read, isn't it? It's about pure determination, about challenging what's normal, and about the incredible power of learning, no matter how old you are or who's doing the teaching.
At the end of the day, Ava's journey is just this beautiful, powerful reminder of one simple truth. For learning, there really is no age bar. It's never, ever too late. The only thing you need is the determination to start.